What's up everybody, my name is JustJarrod and welcome back to yet another No Man's Sky video. In this video we're going to be talking about buildings in No Man's Sky, everything about buildings in No Man's Sky that we know of and that is confirmed. Now, we do know buildings, all buildings, interior, exterior, everything's procedural. Now buildings specifically, I'm going to be talking about buildings on planets, so you don't get confused with like space stations and stuff like that. So we're going to be talking about buildings on the planets. Now, like I said, interior, exterior, everything's procedural. So far we've seen factories. We've seen factories on Bellari 5. We've seen homes like the Korvax Entity Govit's house on Bellari 5. We saw observatories we know about, and I'll put the link in the description to a video over on PlayStation Access where they talk about observatories in No Man's Sky. I'll put the link down there. It's a really good video. It's a pretty long video. It's back when the all that gameplay came out regarding Bellari 5 and the NPC races, stuff like that. They talk about visiting an observatory in there. I'll talk a little more about it in a second, but we also know about trade stations or trade outposts on planets. Now, I do believe those are the 4 like confirmed kind of buildings we've seen, heard about, or even been in. Like factories, we've seen Sean Murray break into a factory. We've seen Sean Murray walk into a Korvax house and chill out with him in a video. So we've seen some things. Trade stations we've seen a lot of, and observatories we haven't seen yet, or at least seen to the point where we know it's an observatory, but we have heard about them. Like I said, video link in the description. So now the size of these buildings. Now we don't know, it is kind of unknown as to how large these buildings can be. We've seen pretty large buildings, and I mean, we've seen generally they all look the same size. Factories tend to look a little larger, at least the one on Bellari 5 looked larger than the actual home of the Korvax scientists. But we'll see, we'll have to wait and see like exactly how large these buildings can be. Now Sean Murray has said that there's not going to be like huge civilizations of buildings, you know, with races just all over the place, aliens everywhere, like a huge town or anything. There might be buildings like next to each other, but they're not going to be like a giant mass like area of just a huge town of the same race. And there's not going to be cities, he also said. He mentioned there won't be cities where you're just going to walk up on a planet and it's just going to be like New York City, just right there. You're just going to have massive buildings to venture out in. And I think that's kind of there's a kind of reason behind that. I'm assuming like because the game Hello Games, they want to make you feel lost kind of in No Man's Sky. They want to make you feel lost, make you feel alone almost. And that's a huge selling point for me. But if they had like a huge city, there would be, I mean, even if it was a really, really rare occurrence, if you were to just happen to be lucky enough to find a city, and that would be a hub, like a central hub for every single kind of resource, right? You would think everybody would have all these different resources that you could stock up on and trade, right? And you would get all the resources, all the units, maybe. And I think that's kind of just like a cheap way out of it, out of the game, out of the survival aspect of it, if you find a city that just is thriving with everything. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting for them, the reason not having cities or huge civilizations, as well as the point of being lost and feeling alone in the game. So still don't know much about size, but I hope buildings can get pretty large, just because I know space stations can be large, and we've seen some of the sizes from factories. We haven't seen an entire factory. We only saw Sean break in and just don't go past the first room. We don't know if there was more doors you can break down, but I hope that they actually get pretty large. Now we do know from homes, like any alien race that has a home or a specific house of theirs, it has been talked about that the buildings of a certain race will actually look like that race built them. So they're not going to stand out or like be out of place kind of deal. So we have the Korvax, and their buildings kind of they don't look menacing, right? They stand out to the point of where they look like they belong on Bellari 5, right? They kind of got that metal, like cold metal feel, right? And it's on a cold planet, so that makes sense. And they're a science race, and it looks like the factories they actually have moving. It looks like they could be creating like some kind of material, like blueprints that they actually store at these factories. So it all kind of meshes accordingly. So like I'm thinking maybe like we know of the Gek already, maybe the Gek end up being the explorer type or trader type class or race, excuse me. Maybe like if they're the explorer type, maybe their houses are like built into like mountains, or maybe like a cave type house, which would be super awesome. That would be so cool to find like a cave that's also a alien race's like home kind of deal. I think that would be awesome. Maybe like the more fighter race, that if we ever run into one or actually know of one that is confirmed, maybe their houses or their buildings look a lot more menacing, a lot more frightening. So that has been talked about, that everything will kind of mesh together and everything will look right. Nothing will stand out too much, even though it is a sci-fi game. So that is an awesome addition, kind of to kind of how things flow with the alien races and the buildings. Now, what can you do in these buildings? Now, in most of the gameplay that we've seen, we know obviously Sean has broken into a building, and he says you can steal the blueprints or steal whatever you find in there if you escape without the sentinels killing you. So we know you can break in, we also know you can hack in, and we know you can steal stuff in certain buildings, or all buildings, who knows. Also, you can interact with NPCs, you can talk with them if you know their language, try to communicate, try to trade with them, that kind of thing if there are NPCs in these buildings. Now, you can also hack terminals or access terminals in buildings, depending on where you are. Like I said in that PlayStation Access video, the guy there talks about, he says how he goes into an observatory and he hacks into the terminal with like a passcode. It's like a simple number passcode, and he's able to access kind of this observatory, and he says that the map kind of zooms out and he gets a whole look at the whole planet as a whole, and the observatory kind of marks places of interest on the planet for him, so then he could walk there knowing where they are, even if they're on the other side of a planet, which is super awesome, right? So basically he gets, by going into this building, hacking into this terminal, he gets all these points of interest put on his kind of compass thing at the top of the map, so you know like, hey, I should go here, there's something important here, there's something cool here, something interesting to go check out, because this place, this observatory, is letting me know that there's something way over there I should go look at. So that's a really cool thing. So we know you can do that. We also know you can sit in chairs, so if you want to sit down and just chill in an NPC's house for who knows why, you can do that. You can also turn on and off the lights. We know you can interact with the lights. So just little tiny things, for some reason, why not? So we know you can do that. Anyways, guys, this has been my video on buildings in No Man's Sky, at least all we know of buildings. They really kind of intrigue me because the game is definitely a exterior game where everything is outside and you're always adventuring the wilderness, if you want to say it like that. So when they put these buildings in the game, it's kind of, they're like a rarity versus real life or any other game, truthfully. A lot of games, it's all interior or rather than exterior. In real life, we see buildings everywhere we go, so in No Man's Sky, it's just going to be a huge change where we're going to, when we see a building, we're going to be like, oh my gosh, look at that, I wonder what's in there. I wonder if the NPCs or the races in there are friendly. I wonder if there's resources I can steal. I wonder if there's a back door that I could blow open, sneak in, and take some stuff. You never know. Like, I think it's just going to be a huge adventure when you run into buildings. And just, I really hope a lot of the buildings look different. I know they're procedural, and I'm kind of assuming they will, but I just can't wait to see like a really interesting looking building that nobody has seen before. A really tall building with just steps that you can just go up and up and up, like a huge tower to get like a huge viewpoint over like a planet. That's just something I'm really looking forward to. Buildings in the game. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching this. If you have any comments, make sure you leave them in the comment box below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up for me. That would be awesome. And subscribe for anything and everything No Man's Sky. My name has been JustJarrod, aka the No Man's Sky guy, and I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.